Folks, here we are, West Palm Beach, Florida, for the 2012 Dirty South Regional Qualifier. Third year in a row we're here.
Indeed.
Every year the venues, they've taken it one level. It started, I think, on a basketball court at a police training academy, and it's made
in Jacksonville
to the next level.
Indeed.
I think this year looks like everything will be heated or air conditioned, at least down here, indoors, so the weather won't affect it. A lot more vendors.
Shitload.
This year.
Shitload of vendors.
What else? Reebok, I guess, their presence has kind of upped the ante.
I agree.
But should be interesting. The workouts, they're not for little boys. They're for men. So it'll be interesting to see how many people don't finish some of the workouts.
Yeah, I think probably workout to watch that maybe won't get finished is workout 2. I think we'll see a fair amount of competitors not be able to move that 225 for 30 hang cleans, which is a shitload of reps at a pretty high load from the hang.
Yeah.
I think workout 4, the 150 squat, the 50, 40, 30 by 3 with different squat variations. I think we're probably going to see guys not finish that workout as well.
Yeah.
It may be kind of reminiscent of that hundreds workout from the year prior. That saw a lot of people, the kid included, not finish.
Well.
But we'll see.
Yeah. But I guess the team competition this year, all of the events seem a lot more team oriented. So that'll be an interesting thing.
I'll say this. I haven't spent a lot of time looking at the team workouts this year. I remember watching them last year, and they were just derivations of the individual WOD.
Correct.
Of the individual workouts last year. But this year, they have some complicated elements to them. Somebody on the team's got to hold a pull-up while somebody on the team does another movement and so on and so forth. I think the sport is an individual sport.
Yeah, true.
I think the sport's an individual sport. I think anybody watching this that is in tune with CrossFit will know. I mean, they know. Everybody watching this knows Rich Froning's name.
Yeah.
But not everybody watching this knows who won the team last year or the year before. Who was top 3, really? I don't even know. CrossFit New England?
Yeah, I think they took home, and then
it's a good guess.
CrossFit Fort Vancouver.
I don't even know. I didn't even know there was a CrossFit.
Listen, I think that's kind of, in reality, that's where most gyms probably can derive the most energy from.
Is the
because
teams,
because then really, you get people that are in it. I know that CrossFit North Atlanta, they have a bunch of people that really love to support their team and their gym, and
as far as building the community, I think the team element is crucial. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's an individual sport, and the glories to the glories to the winner, the sole winner.
Yeah.
I mean, we know the top 3 from every year only because you look at the work that those guys are doing, the level of athleticism, the whole 9, and you compare. I mean, I don't compare myself to the team of CrossFit New England because.
Well, I mean, it's like nobody knows who the Browns starting quarterback is because
the
Browns aren't any good.
No. It's a kind of a strange analogy. It's draft night.
Yeah.
So
draft night.
He throws a little NFL in there.
That's one thing I think that CrossFit. I don't know. I think some organization other than CrossFit will develop, and there will be competition. That's the way sport evolved. I mean, like the NFL, the AFC and NFC, they were both at one time 2 separate leagues, and they diverged to one. And I just think they may not have the resources.
They converged.
They converged. Yeah,
Tom
but
enjoyed.
we'll see. There's Canadian football still. It's very different. And arena. I mean, it's very different, but I would like to see kind of. I think from a business standpoint, I would like to see we don't want to be a spectacle, right? Like I watch The World's Strongest Man, and I'm like, that's impressive, but I'll never do that.
How do you think? What are the steps to helping legitimize a fledgling sport like CrossFit? I use fledgling only to describe its infancy. I don't use fledgling to describe the lack of following, because if anything, it has the opposite.
Yeah, I mean, I would really just like to see it, and not all the. I mean, it doesn't need to be that, but really, like, why don't we try to set a fucking legitimate world record in something and have established a standard? I mean, obviously, Diane, there'll be a world record, but. Probably we can say that's a world record.
Yeah, but what's the transferability to other sports? Is that what you're asking?
Or let's just say, like, handstand push-ups are hard, especially for females.
Yeah.
And
taller
guys.
You want to talk about the programming?
I mean, we can. I would like to see, it'll be interesting to see how many people that qualified for regionals that maybe were at a gym where their team, they had to go as an individual in the bottom third, if they're really going to come and participate. I don't know. It'd be interesting to see.
So 60 males and 60 females qualified. I don't know the female count.
Yeah.
But the male count is 48. That means, I think, 8 qualifying males jumped to their team. 8 or 10, so 2 or 4 male individuals qualified and are not here. Yeah. And one of them, a good friend of ours, distant training partner, Steve Mullen, the Muscle Mullen. You've heard of him. If you're in CrossFit,
he's legendary. He took a ring to the face, take a towel, tied it on, and then continued to get right back in the pull-ups.
That was 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Funny how things have changed.
Yeah.
I'll say this. 3-time regional qualifying athlete coming into the stadium tonight, looking at it's funny to be here last year, to be here the year before, to see a lot of the same faces. Yeah. The guys that were good at this shit last year, 2 years ago, barring any injury or any unforeseen thing like maybe a deployment, they're still good, they're better.
It's funny that nobody recognized me.
That's That's interesting. That's interesting.
I
what I think it is? This is what I thought it was. I thought he has put on so much muscle that they probably
didn't recognize me.
That can't be Brandon Chapin. That cannot be BC. This guy's muscled out. I mean, look at that shirt.
This is a large, by the way.
It's a XXX. He's being modest.
Yeah, no, but I mean that's what I think. Like, I think it would be cool. I think it would be really interesting to see if in a competitive environment you redid some of those workouts.
The open workout.
Or the regional workouts.
Okay.
I just think it would be interesting for me personally to see.
Yeah.
Because I think what those workouts were 3 years ago, and I thought they were hard.
What were they 3 years ago? See if you can recap.
It was a squat, or no. Was it clean, or did you have to squat clean it? I think you had to squat clean.
You had to squat clean it.
Squat clean, and if you wanted, you could jerk it. It was 10-pound increments, 215 to 335. Still probably.
What'd you clean?
I think 225. I only did like 1 or 2 bars.
Was that a PR at the time?
I think the first one was, and it still that wouldn't be very. I think that if on a good day, like 245 would be like.
Now. 3 years later.
I still something haven't seen huge improvements in.
Yeah.
Necessarily that, but in the 1 rep max, but in the 5 rep max or what I can cycle through is definitely.
Yeah. So that WOD last 3 years ago, I squat cleaned
285.
285, which was a 10-pound PR.
Yeah.
10-pound PR going into the workout. This year, 3 years later, I've squat cleaned successfully 335. Mm-hmm. Boy, that doesn't seem like that big of a jump in 3 years.
But
okay, so workout 2.
What was it?
20 handstand push-up buy-in and a 10-minute AMRAP. 10 or 12?
I think it was 12 minutes.
20 handstand push-ups, and then you had 30 doubles.
20.
I think actually it went 20 doubles, 10 box jumps, then lunge 5 per leg.
Yeah.
With that 60 or 80-pound sandbag.
Yeah.
Yeah, how'd those handstand push-ups go?
Not too well. I think they maybe actually counted wrong, but I think I did 20 or
You
about
hear,
20.
You hear here, folks. We have a judge discrepancy.
Well,
3 years later,
I mean,
Brandon Chapin,
I don't know. I don't know if the standards were
strictly upheld.
Yeah.
I'll say this while you bring it up. That is one thing that I think has moved forward. I remember 3 years ago, the judging was volunteer based.
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong. It's probably still volunteer based this year. But I'll tell you what. Last year, we got an athletes briefing before the weekend started last year, and they broke it down. They said, "Hey, these are going to be moves that are tough, that people are going to get stuck on. The kettlebell swing. This is a standard. Every judge is going to uphold it." Now, I guess there was a little beef last year in another region about whether or not that standard was upheld fairly. But I think you have 60 competitors on the male and female side, give or take. You have how many teams? 30?
I think 30.
You have 30 teams. That means that you have judges watching that fucking workout go down over and over again.
It's a lot of
I mean, it's the attention to detail for a 20-minute workout.
Yeah, maybe that's where they need to spend the money instead of giving it to.
Good point. It's a good point.
I don't know.
Okay, so go on.
Then it was
workout 3 years.
Yeah, well, I shit the bed on that one. That's
workout 3 was.
I think it was. Was it 4 muscle ups, 8 kettlebell snatch per round, 3 rounds?
Yeah.
Which
4 rounds.
4 rounds. Which now I think I did it in like 8 minutes. I broke up every muscle up.
I didn't even finish that workout.
So
was 20 something going into that workout. Didn't finish.
Yeah. Well, I mean now
dropped to 58.
Yeah. So now I think like
kettlebell was like 1.5 pound.
Yeah.
We redid it like a year ago.
Yeah.
A year and some change ago.
And I bet it would be a lot different.
I still wouldn't have won it,
but
which is pretty incredible. But that year, Rich Froning was in our region. He won that workout. I did that workout a year later, a year and some change later, and I did it in 4 and some change.
Yeah.
And it would have put me like in 10th. I mean, that many guys did it that fast 3 years ago.
Yeah, needless to say, Rich added me on Facebook after that competition.
Oh. Noted.
He's gone into some much bigger things.
You've been busy.
Yeah.
What are you doing these days?
Just trying to make money.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess, man, CrossFit has been really, really busy. I would say that membership or just the overall awareness of people, like if I say I own a CrossFit gym, is generally higher.
Yeah.
And people still think we're fucking crazy, and they either want to take part in that craziness or they don't. Like,
yeah.
So, I mean, that's good, but I think we got more people that are more likely to be active. I think really, kind of like why I found CrossFit, I always wonder, would I have found it had I not known these people? And I always think, well, yeah, because if at whatever point someone told me about it, I would have been like, this is it.
Yeah, I want to check it out.
Because I like doing it, so. But, yeah, I mean, it'd be really fun to see where it is in 10 years or 5 years. I think ultimately that there's some changes and I think they need some outside influence. I think that's the only one bad thing about CrossFit is they don't do well. They're going to do it their way, and they're not necessarily going to. Yeah. It's kind of like NASCAR. NASCAR's a family-run business, and they're only going to do what they want to do.
And that's all they're going to do.
And, well, that's great, but then, NASCAR is known as a dying sport at this point. They were at the ultimate of high. They were the most watched sport and most sponsored sport of anything, maybe of all time, and now maybe with exception of football but individual people were making a lot of money, and now they're not.
Brandon Chapin dropping nuggets of info.
So I mean, yeah, people say don't mess with a good thing. I don't know.
Is this your show? Are we on your show?
I don't know. We haven't named it yet, but this is just an economy thing. This is just maybe because I've heard some people's experience with dealing with CrossFit. It's very like you have to be in the groove, and kind of like they're going to do it their way, and if you think differently, it may not work well. I don't know. I've never really had any negative things.
Well, I'll say this. We started this discussion about the region. Mm-hmm. regional workouts. A bit of a tangent.
I'm gonna pour me some drink.
Shaven's got that drink in his cup. Funny, 3 years ago I didn't see a lot of dudes drinking Gatorade like this.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the other thing that's kind of evolved is like maybe people are training better, training smarter.
Yeah, is that what your shirt's about?
Yeah, I mean, if you see the OPT Big Dog, we'll give that a plug here. I think, especially for me, I just like doing CrossFit. I've kind of accepted the fact that I'm probably never going to be really, really good at it. I spent too much time running growing up as opposed to playing explosive sports. So, but for me, kind of applying all that I had learned and just general exercise science kind of and apply it more to CrossFit, I think it's worked really well for me, and doing more intervals. And the longevity of my training, I think, is really going to improve. And I directly correlate the quality of my life with my ability to work out and train. Because really,
time not training is time when
for me when I have injuries, it's really not good, and everything's really negative. So hopefully this will change, and I think ultimately you'll see more and more people doing that. And I don't know if James has mentioned there's a rift between him and people that kind of are that and CrossFit, and I don't really know how or why that happened or why it needs to happen, if it shouldn't exist, because all it is trying to get better.
Yeah.
And ultimately, if I own a business and other people own businesses, we should want to better the lives of our clients indefinitely, not just,
Well, I think without jumping into a water that I don't know the depth on, I'll just say I think that was the cause of the rift, was whether or not what are we delivering and is it the best for the individual.
I think
if you're doing CrossFit and you want to get good at it, you don't do CrossFit.
Yeah.
I mean, on the weekends, maybe you want to simulate a competition and you want to do things for time and for load, but you don't get good by going in and hammering Fran. And I think that the athletes that will qualify for regions and go on and make it to the games, they understood that.
Oh, yeah.
They understood that a while ago.
Yeah.
And not to mention that understanding, but I think that we're also going to see guys coming out of backgrounds that are more strength and power athletic backgrounds. And I think that's probably going to let HQ get away with programming regional WODs that are borderline asinine.
Yeah, and I don't know.
I mean, how many guys are going to finish that 100-pound dumbbell snatch without a hyperextended elbow?
Yeah.
I mean, I may not.
Interesting side note, I can kind of lead into why people, this is maybe about sport. Roger Goodell, this is football that I think. Roger Goodell's job is to protect the NFL players. Who protects you?
No.
Is anyone caring about you, or like if this is going to hurt you? And if it's going to be like a sport, really, that's what unionization is for.
Yeah.
And maybe that's something, I'm not pro-union, but I think really ultimately,
the athlete needs
at some point, we athletes may just sit down and say, hey, I don't feel comfortable doing this, and I don't want to do it because we want to get, we don't want the likelihood of injuring yourself. Nobody wants that, because nobody, you can't afford to miss that because this is no one's job.
Yeah,
so.
Absolutely. Well, it's certainly not mine. And I would have a hard time stomaching a bill for an orthopedic surgeon coming back from a weekend like this with a rotator cuff tear.
Yeah.
It would certainly put me into a spot. How's that taste? It's delicious, isn't it? The punch and act like it didn't. It would certainly put me in a spot where I would probably stop competing.
Oh yeah.
I would continue training. The training would be different. I think we're going to see that with these local WODs, these local competitions. There has to be some responsibility on some level of the individuals who are quote-unquote programming. We use that term like ridiculously loosely in this industry right now, or in this sport right now, because I think everybody thinks that when they slap two movements together, burpee and deadlift, they say, oh yeah, I programmed that.
Great.
Anybody can do that. A 4-year-old can do that. You want to make a workout harder? Anybody can do that. Try doing 1,000 jumping jacks in 10 minutes.
Oh yeah, I've
This is
done
gonna
it.
be hard as hell. I guarantee it.
Yeah.
So I
Well,
think you're gonna see. I know that a lot of coaches, and I'm speaking from chats with Steve Mullen, who had direct chats with James Fitzgerald about this, leading up to the season. It's a good indicator to see where you're at in terms of recovery and nutrition timing during workouts, pre and post, in a competition setting to go to these local events. But this season I haven't gone to one. Sat out the garage games. I sat out every one. Only because I can't afford to come back from that and be injured and miss training.
Yeah.
The competition isn't the Saturday at the garage games. The competition is, April 27th, 28th, and 29th. And I think, I know that Brandon Phillips, I've chatted with him about this, and he says, he uses those as kind of an indicator, but I don't see him doing 4 and 5 of them. I see him doing like 1. I think the only exception to that rule is a guy like Brian Cost, who maybe he's just such a competitor. He just can't turn down the opportunity to go and see how he stacks up. But I think you're going to start to see a trend to get among the top 3 guys. Guys like Brandon Phillips who come to these, who have been to the games as many times as I've qualified for the region. His background's different than mine, yada yada, but there's a fundamental understanding there about what he needs to do in the off season, how he needs to eat, what he needs to do in season, how he needs to eat, and how he needs to approach this weekend. How quickly can he recover, and how can he train again to get that peak for the end of the summer? And I think you're going to be required, if you want to get to the next level, to understand that stuff about yourself, and it's going to be different for every person.
Yeah. Well, I think we'll come back tomorrow night. Definitely have to check in tomorrow. But folks, keep following us, and we'll talk to you soon. Good night. Be safe out there.